Good morning and welcome to New Jersey Viewpoint. I'm Ken Rosado. Today we bring you information on fibromyalgia with hope for those who suffer from chronic pain but are told there is nothing wrong with them. Welcome back to New Jersey Viewpoint. I'm Ken Rosado. Fibromyalgia is a disorder that causes chronic widespread pain in the body. Until now, or until recently, an estimated 10 million Americans never had a name for their agonizing symptoms. A new book is just out called Your Symptoms Are Real: What to Do When Your Doctor Says Nothing Is Wrong. Please join me in welcoming the author, Dr. Benjamin Natelson, attending physician in the Department of Pain Medicine at Beth Israel Medical Center, and Beth Warren, who was just a child when she first experienced symptoms of fibromyalgia. Well, Dr. Natelson, first off, why does fibromyalgia constantly get misdiagnosed?
Well, I think patients and doctors never on the same page. The patient comes and says, I've got pain, and as soon as the doctor hears pain and the other complaint is fatigue, the doctor tunes out. He or she does some lab tests. The tests are normal. The doctor is taught to look for abnormalities in the lab tests, and when the lab tests are normal, the doctor says there's nothing wrong. That's what the title of my book is.
That must be so infuriating as a patient to be told there's nothing wrong, and you know you have pain. I mean, how young were you when this happened to you?
I was diagnosed when I was 12, but my doctor thinks I had symptoms going long before that, as early as 4 or 6.
How bad did things get?
I was bedridden for 5 years.
Bedridden for 5 years?
Yep.
Describe the kind of pain. What did you feel?
I had chest pain that was extremely excruciating. After surgery, which is what triggered my fibromyalgia, I would be screaming all night from the chest pain.
Is that common, doctor, to have fibromyalgia triggered by a function such as surgery?
It is. Trauma, surgery, accidents, infections are other risk factors that can uncover fibromyalgia.
Well,
yes.
Exactly what is it? What causes it then?
Well, that cause we don't know. See, what happens is people, for instance, they have trauma, they have pain in one part of their body, and we believe that from the constant stimulation of the pain into the brain, it changes pain modulation, and then the pain spreads throughout the body. So that fibromyalgia is widespread pain. It's not just pain in the chest or in the neck and head. It's really in 4 quadrants, if we divided the body in 4 quadrants, and there's tenderness all over.
That's amazing. So in essence, the amount of pain overload, if you will, from one particular area could, in essence, short circuit and make your body feel like there's pain everywhere when really it's just triggered by something from one specific location.
But triggered, but then with the brain changing, with sensitization happening in the brain, the mechanisms that stop pain in the brain, and there are they, don't work, and so the pain sort of is all over. So that something that wouldn't be painful to you would be painful to her.
That is unreal. And Beth, how are you being treated? How are you managing this pain?
Pain medication, stretching, exercise, but in moderation, because over-exercising can make things worse.
And how often do you have to take, say, your pain meds?
4 times a day.
Otherwise full relapse
I can't,
of pain?
Yeah.
It's so debilitating that you can't get out of the house or anything?
No. I'm better than I was 5 years ago, but I still have pain on a daily basis.
And did you try other therapies as well?
Yes, I've tried numerous therapies. I tried anti-inflammatory medication. I tried antidepressants. I tried acupuncture.
And right down the line, did you notice any improvements at all with that?
Some things would help, but not to a great extent, so it would only be so minor that it wasn't worth the cost and effort in taking all the therapies or going to the doctor constantly.
So now at least you feel you have your functioning life back at least. You can get out of the house.
I can get out of the house, but I have to weigh what I want to do because I still don't have the energy to do everything I want, so I have to weigh what's most important to me.
What are the risk factors, doctor?
Well, we talked about some. Surgery, infections, sometimes horrible stress. But one of the things I want to talk about is that there are treatments for pain. And there's now an FDA-approved drug and others that are just coming down the highway because the pharmaceutical companies are aware this is a major problem. And if there are treatments for the illness, doctors are going to be more cognizant about how to diagnose it. One of the reasons they just sort of ignored it is there was nothing that they could do. And there really is pain management programs. I'm in a pain management program here in Manhattan in Beth Israel. But what has to happen is it just can't be a few experts in pain management in the country. It has to be primary caregivers who know how to do it. And with FDA-approved drugs, they'll be on the road to doing that.
So how does a doctor, for those doctors who are out there watching right now at this early hour, how does a doctor, what does he or she look for to diagnose somebody who has fibromyalgia?
So the first thing I talked about, it's 4-quadrant pain. That means if you split the body into 4 parts, there's shoulder pain, buttock pain, chest or back pain, so there's really pain pretty much all over. And then there's tenderness, so that when I press with my finger at 9-pound pressure, I'll either feel pressure, I'll say to the patient, do you feel pressure or pain? And I do this in multiple places in the body. And if there's enough tender points and this widespread pain, that's the diagnosis.
Amazing. Amazing. And
It's a simple diagnosis to make, as long as you do those careful things.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people who don't experience this pain who think, oh, come on. Oh, come on, it can't be that bad. Were you ever told by a doctor, Beth, that, oh, it's in your head, or you can't be really experiencing
Many
this?
times. When I first got sick, right after surgery, the pediatrician said, you know, people don't experience this kind of pain following surgery. Do you want to go back to school? Why don't you want to go back to school? She thought it was school phobia. I've had other doctors who accuse my specialist of being a quack, not that he shouldn't prescribe pain medication for me.
And how infuriating that must have been for you.
It was. My mom had to deal with her friends constantly telling her that, you know, I should just exercise, I should just do this, or she should just make me go to school.
Amazing.
Family and friends just always have an opinion. And
you must be thrilled that Dr. Natelson wrote this book.
Yes, I am.
At least hopefully some other doctors out there will learn that, you can see it on the screen right now, at least they'll learn once again to brush up on what those symptoms are and how to diagnose somebody more easily.
Well, you know, the other reason, of course, I wrote it was not so much for the doctor, but if you're in Kittycoke or in some part of New Jersey where there's not a lot of doctors, I don't think you need to be a specialist like me, but most general caregivers, they're uncomfortable with things where they can't hold the diagnosis in their hands. So I've laid out my whole treatment plan in the book. And there are things that the patient can do for wellness, him or herself. And Beth's mentioned one, this gentle physical conditioning. And I really stress the gentle. We start very, very low and go slow, but it leads to wellness.
And your book is available at Amazon.com and other locales as well?
Sure, Barnes & Noble, any bookstore.
Terrific. Once again, your symptoms are real. What to do when your doctor says nothing is wrong. This doctor says there could be something very well wrong and know how to diagnose it. Thank you, Dr. Natelson and Beth, for both being here this morning on Viewpoint. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And for information regarding all the organizations and guests featured on Viewpoint, do visit us at 7online.com.